Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and I want to welcome you today to writing multi-layered screenplays. Uh, I think this is such an important skill set. It can make a tremendous difference for people. One of the biggest problems, if you look at scripts that are coming into contest, is about 80% of them don't have layers beneath the surface. Most, if you know, take a look at this iceberg. Most of them are almost all surface, and they might have a little bit, but what you really need is this kind of depth. So let me just walk you through this today. What we're going to do first, we're going to talk a little bit about how the market is changing, because it is there, and it's actually been changing for a while. When it comes to feature screenplays, there are some things that you need to know that can make a big difference for you. Second, we will discover your beneath the surface story. And that could change everything. If you look at M. Night Shyamalan's movie that he put out, the one that actually had him become a big success, The Sixth Sense, it was the beneath the surface story that made it incredible. Other than that, it was a good B-level movie. That is what he has said himself. Third, we're going to look at 8 more ways to build in depth so that you can immediately start applying this to the screenplays that you are writing right this moment. And then we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming class, Writing Incredible Movies. And there's something we are doing with it that you probably haven't heard that is going to make it so much better than we've had before. And it's one of our best programs. So let's talk about it. The market is changing. Now, first, at the point that we're having this conversation, we are right at the end of strike season. And some people, with the WGA strike got solved, the SAG-AFTRA strike got solved, but what we're waiting on right now is IATSE, and any moment that could be resolved. I've been hearing good things about it, so things are happening. So that in itself is going to be a change in the market. But there's this other one. With the way TV shows have been elevated, the feature market is actually in need of a new model. You can't write a script right now and get it made into a movie when it's only operating on 1 or 2 levels. You need something that mirrors the quality of the TV shows. That's going to be really important. And I would say this is a rule that I just think people ought to start saying to themselves. When the market changes, do not get left behind. You know, there are things that are coming up. There are changes that are happening. I'm looking at them every single day because I want our writers to be ahead of things. So as things are changing, don't get left in the past. It's incredibly important. And if we're just thinking just about this one change that I just told you about, features now are going to need more depth than they ever had based on that change. But there are some other changes coming up too. So let's take a look at it. Surface versus beneath the surface. On the surface, you have the obvious details of the basic story. You know, again, most of the scripts coming into contest are almost entirely on the surface, and then they may have one layer beneath that. Beneath the surface, what you want, and this is what this is, it's the deeper meaning that shows up in your characters, your theme, your layers, your intrigue, and your subtext. This gives us the journey beneath the journey, right? It gives us the character beneath the character. It gives us the story beneath the story. So this is now, I would say, a requirement for your screenwriting. So deeper layers, just for clarity. This means there's a deeper meaning for either the plot or the lead character, thus shifting the experience of the story. Now, let me go back to The Sixth Sense since I brought it up earlier. In The Sixth Sense, if you look at draft 9 of the script, and this I heard in an interview from M. Night Shyamalan, he said, as of draft 9, the story was about this psychiatrist who is trying to help this kid, you know, and the kid has a problem. He sees dead people, and the psychiatrist has a wound from a previous client that he was not able to help, right? So he said that was the story. He said it was a good story. In fact, it's the story that we see right now with one major exception. And that was at draft 9, M. Night Shyamalan knew that what he had was a B-level movie, that it wasn't going to attract major talent, that it was something that wouldn't get a big budget. It would be a low-budget movie at best. And he would have the same problem he had had throughout his entire career. Everything he had written up until that point had not succeeded. He had made 2 or 3 movies, low-budget movies. None of them had made money. And he knew it was never going to go anywhere if he didn't change something. So he discovered a deeper layer for the lead character. And that deeper layer changed things, right? So, and he had it in a dramatic reveal that was at the end of the story. And by the way, you can put a dramatic reveal any place in your script, but he revealed that layer and it changed everything for us. The kid was actually helping the psychiatrist because the psychiatrist was a dead person. And that gave him a career. In fact, he went from being somebody who was unknown, not making any money, to his career that started with The Sixth Sense, has made over $3 billion. Huge difference because he discovered one layer beneath the surface. This is worth doing. So a dramatic reveal. I'm gonna tell you something important about this. Layers are uncovered in a compelling way. You need the layers uncovered in a compelling way at a key emotional moment. I see a lot of scripts where there's a really interesting layer, and the way it is revealed is one character turns to another one and says, you know, I just wanted to tell you this, and then they tell the layer. The worst way you could reveal it. Please don't do that. First, it's not dramatic, it's not compelling, and it's not at a key emotional moment. When you're revealing a layer, a major layer, you want it to be dramatic, and you want it to be compelling. You want it to be a surprise. You want it to be done at the worst possible time for the character, the most emotional moment, right? It's like if we take The Sixth Sense, we get to this certain point, he's trying to understand what's been happening. Things haven't worked out well with him. His wife hasn't communicated with him for almost a year. And he's trying to understand it. And then we reveal it at the point of the most pain. Consider that. Now, by the way, again, that doesn't have to be at the very end. That could have been revealed at a bunch of different times, and you would simply now have this character in this whole different place, and we'd be watching it go through a different journey. So you just make whatever's the best choice on that. Now, even if you love your surface story, start searching for what's under the surface. And I'd say start right this moment. Just decide, wait a minute, I would pretend that your characters are hiding something from you. And by the way, I got this from the guy who wrote 10 Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. I did an interview with him at Universal, and he told this story. He said he had written this script. It was like his 5th script. He thought it was great. He loved it. He went and pitched it to a producer. The producer basically said, you're being too nice to your characters. And he said he came back that night. He was so upset. He thought he had a deal, and that's what happened. And he got drunk and he started throwing things around his little tiny apartment. and in the midst of that, he decided to stop being nice to his characters, and he wrote a script that put them in hell. So what he found was, in his world, his characters were hiding something from him. They were giving him the nice version of the story. And he said he took that script back to the producer, and the producer went, wow, this is incredible. They made the movie, and that started his career because he found what his characters were hiding. So just, even if you love your script, even if you think it's the best you've ever seen, pretend that your characters are hiding something and find it. Make it your personal mission to investigate them. Enjoy uncovering the real truth in that situation, right? And go for it. Solve that mystery. If you're willing to just do this, it's not going to cost you anything. It's easy. Take a day or take a couple of days and just go, they're hiding something. I'm going after them. I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out what the real truth is. Once you solve that mystery, chances are everything changes for you. You've got now a project that has another level of depth that nobody expected, nobody saw, not even you. And if you can find something that even you didn't expect, oh my God, writer or producers and managers are going to love you. Now, let me give you some more ways to build in depth. First one is subtext. Subtext is the meaning beneath the surface. And by the way, to become a pro at subtext, you need to know how to create that meaning, how to put it beneath the surface, and how to have the audience experience it when you didn't tell them to. And, you know, so it's just a natural part of the story. There's something going on under the surface, and the audience are living it. Superior position is another one. This means that the audience knows something that the other characters don't. We know the subtext. We know what's under the surface. You know, there are a lot of people who think that the only model is the one that that Shyamalan used on The Sixth Sense, where we keep it hidden all the way to the very end and then we tell them. I'm going to tell you, you can have a script that is more enjoyable for an audience a lot of times if you put us in a position where we know something they don't. And because we know something the characters don't, we are watching them go through this emotional journey with the one most important piece of information that they need that they don't have. And that can create all kinds of interesting drama. Then there's impending doom. And impending doom, you've got something life-threatening. By the way, this is almost always present in a horror movie, but it also could be present in a drama. It could be present in a rom-com. It could be present in a lot of different genres. There's something life-threatening or tragic about to occur, and it creates constant tension and worry. So if you can create impending doom, we are going to stay with you all the way till the end of that story. Fourth is intrigue. This means you're plotting craftily or underhanded. I think the easiest way to think about this is somebody's got something going on that they're hiding, and the audience needs to figure out what it is, right? There's something underhanded going on under the surface, and our job is to try to understand it. So this creates a need for the audience to investigate the plot that's under the surface. And if you can create that, you are going to have audiences that are so deeply engaged. And that's what this whole thing is about. Now, a couple of others. Scheme. This is a scam or deception against another. And when you have a scheme going on, you could have it a couple of different ways. You could have the protagonist step into it not knowing what it is, right? Or you could have it be something where we have superior position and we know that the scheme is happening, but the protagonist doesn't, right? There's a bunch of different ways to do it, each of which has their own unique dramatic experience for an audience. Then we have conspiracy. And don't worry, I'm going to give you an example of all of these in just a minute, so you'll know. This means multiple characters are involved in a scheme. So this one has one experience when there's just one person scheming. But this, when you get down to a conspiracy and there's multiple people involved, especially if we don't know who some of the people are in the conspiracy, it may look in the beginning like there's 2 or 3 involved. And then we find out that some other key player is involved that we didn't expect, right? There's just this kind of stuff gives you so many dramatic opportunities. And then this one, I highly, highly, highly recommend that any protagonist you create, you give them an amazing wound. If you do that, first, let me define it here, deep psychological or emotional injury. So it's not like, oh, they just have a problem. It's like they've got something going on underneath the surface that has basically dominated their life, has caused them to make all kinds of decisions, some of which are not good for them, and is the one thing they don't want triggered. So there's so many ways you can use a wound to keep an audience deeply engaged, have us worry about this lead character and everything that's going on. What a wound does is it causes us to feel empathy for the character. Empathy, by the way, much, much more powerful than likability. So if you're going for your characters to be likable, which is an okay thing, it's a good thing, it's just no longer the most important of the 3 of the different ways that you create an emotion with the audience. Empathy is so much more powerful. So please consider that. And then finally, hidden identity. You've got a character that's presented one way, then it's revealed that they're another way. This, by the way, could be the bad person, it could be the good person, it could be any character that is a major player in your movie. That causes us to completely rethink that character. Now, having said all this, let me now walk you through how this works, because there's something really, really interesting about it. So here, a lot of people, I've told people before, put intrigue in your story, put conspiracies, put schemes, put things like that. And they'll say, no, this isn't a thriller, Hal. And it's like, yeah, all of those absolutely fit into a thriller. They're important in a thriller. But what you're about to see is a movie called The Proposal. This is a story. The lead actors in it were Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. You may remember it. Big rom-com, huge success, and it had all of the things I'm about to show you. So let me just kind of walk you through it. To start off, let's be clear for anybody who has seen it a long time ago. Sandra Bullock plays Margaret. Margaret is the editor. She is the 3rd in line at the biggest publishing company in New York. And she has an assistant that she has been treating like a slave. She's been treating him terribly throughout this whole thing. That's Andrew. Andrew is played by Ryan Reynolds. So she's essentially been acting as if he's like a college kid who doesn't deserve this job. And she's been pretty much as abusive as you could be without getting, you know, ended up having some kind of lawsuit or something like that. All right, let's step into the story now so you can see it. It starts with a scheme. We find out that the immigration department has filed something and Margaret is going to be deported. Because of that, she comes up with this scheme for her and Andrew to get married so that they won't deport her. She's married to an American. By the way, she's from Canada. And so they are going to get married in order for her to stay in the country. We, the audience, have superior position on this because we see the plan, we see the scheme, we see the moment that she concocted it. We see the arguments that she's having with Andrew. We know what's going on. All the way through the rest of the movie, they're not telling the family, they're not telling anybody, then they're lying to the immigration guy all the way through the movie. So we have superior position on that. We get to see all the problems that their lie creates, their scheme creates. Then there's an investigation. Margaret just fired somebody at her office, and that person called the immigration department and told them that the marriage that's about to occur is a lie. And so the investigator is absolutely convinced that they are lying and that Andrew is going to be put in prison and Margaret's going to be deported. Now, end of Act 1. At this point, we have this major intrigue. Can they fool the investigator? Can they fool the immigration department? By the way, I've set this up as 4 acts. If you are somebody who loves the 3-act structure, you just say, all right, there's a midpoint right here. So if you're thinking 3-act structure, it would be 3 acts with just a midpoint in between the second and the third act that I've listed here. I'm listing it as 4 acts just because it makes it easier to think that way. Let's go into Act 2 now. There's another scheme that happens. And at the beginning of Act 2, they arrive in Alaska. They are meeting the family, and now we have the second scheme. The first one is against the immigration guy, and against, yeah, all of that. The second one is with the family. They are scheming the family that they're going to get married, that they love each other, all of this other kind of thing. So, you know, we're getting to watch that scheme again with superior position. Then we have a secret identity. Now, there's a lot of people who, if you ask them, is there a secret identity in this movie? They would say no. But if you think about the entire first act, all the way up to when they arrived in Alaska, Margaret has no idea that Andrew is actually a rich kid, that he's somebody who's come from a wealthy family. The whole time she's treating him like he's this college kid who is living, and she says it, he's living in a tiny, you know, studio apartment. That's why they wouldn't go to his place, all that kind of thing. She's treating him like he's nobody. And it turns out he's actually somebody, at least in this movie. And he's a pretty damn good actor also. Then there's subtext. And this subtext shows up the first time we see the dad. They're having this little get together with about 50 people. And the dad walks in, and from the moment he starts talking to his son and the son's wife to be, he's talking down to him. He's treating his son terribly. And there's a reason, right? Then this is the subtext between the two of them. The dad wants him to stay in Alaska and take over the family business and be wealthy. Andrew instead escaped to New York and worked in this publishing industry as a low-level assistant, and the dad hates that. So they have this ongoing conflict that is present every moment that we see the two together. There's subtext under the surface. Now then we go to act three. If you believe in a three-act structure, there's a midpoint there. And now we have another conspiracy. Now this conspiracy isn't as bad as the first one, but let me tell you what defines the midpoint here, basically. They have arrived there, everything seems to be going okay. The midpoint is when everybody convinces Margaret that they need to get married this weekend in the barn in front of the whole family, and now her marriage becomes a family event. So that's the midpoint. From that point on, it's a family event, which we're going to see causes all kinds of problems for Margaret. But let's start with the conspiracy. And this is not the same kind of conspiracy that happened earlier between Andrew and her. This is a conspiracy between all the women of the family to get Margaret up on stage with the stripper and embarrass her. And you may say, wow, that's just not a nice thing, but it's a family thing. The whole basic family is kind of working together there, which is interesting. It's different. Margaret's never experienced this. Now, we have a wound that's triggered. So this happens when Margaret is getting fitted for her wedding dress. And she's wearing the same wedding dress that Gammy wore. And Gammy gives her a necklace that came from Gammy's grandmother. It's been in the family the whole time. And for the first time, Margaret's wearing it, right? So Gammy gave her something that has deep, deep meaning to the entire family. And Margaret, in that moment, experiences what it's like to be part of a family. Then the wound is revealed. This happens. Margaret comes out of getting, trying on the wedding dress, goes and gets in the boat where Andrew is just relaxing and takes off. And at that point, she goes into this whole thing about how, her parents died when she was 17, which is the wound. She has never had a family since then. We are now finding out why Margaret was the way she was in Act 1. And this is her first time to experience family, and she doesn't know if she can do this to them. She's not okay with it. All of that kind of thing. And it climaxes when she falls out of the boat. And now they have their first real tender moment together. Now we go into the final act. And again, if you see it as a 3-act story, then this would be the final act, Act 3. In this case, I'm going to call it Act 4. Don't worry about that. Final act. Now there's another conspiracy that happens. And this conspiracy is between the dad and the immigration officer. He calls the guy up, he flies him up there. They ambush Margaret and Andrew. And basically they say, he says, you've got 30 seconds to take this deal. Otherwise, Andrew goes to jail and Margaret is deported. Not a good thing. Once again, we're going to have a wound triggered. Now they're at the wedding. Margaret is up on stage, and the guy who does the wedding, which happens to also be the stripper, keeps mentioning family and how this whole thing is about family. And now Margaret is going to be brought into the family. And it triggers her so badly that she reveals something. She stops the wedding, reveals to the entire place, everybody there, every family member, every friend, she confesses that she loves this family. And for the first time, they've made her feel like family, and she can't do this to them. At that moment, we are basically at the climax here. All kinds of things are going to happen, but we have one more scheme and a reveal. The scheme is Gammy, when she gets on the plane, she first tricks everybody into flying Andrew, to catch up with Margaret. So she gets everybody on the plane. She pretends she has a heart attack. That's her scheme. They're on the plane. She gets them to finally agree that they're going to work together and take care of everything. And there is this one reveal at this point that, oops, Gammy's not, she's okay. She didn't have a heart attack. She actually tricked them. But there's a bigger reveal at the very end, which is at the office when Andrew shows up and he shows that he actually loves her too. And I think the best line of dialogue in this movie is his line, "Margaret, marry me because I want to date you," which I think is a really cool line. Now, take a look at all of this. And you should see pretty quickly, it's like we've got a movie that is a rom-com, and yet the entire thing, all the way through, has all kinds of scheming, all kinds of subtext, wounds, conspiracies. All of that is built into this movie. And I want to ask you a question. If they left all of this out, do you think this movie would get made? And you could say, well, if we put Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds in it, it'll get made. But I would say if you left all this stuff out, Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds do not sign on to this movie. And at best, this would get made by a low budget indie who's somebody we never knew before and all of that kind of thing. This is what made this movie great. It gave us a complete deeper experience of everything that was going on. It had us constantly wondering, constantly worried, the whole thing, all the way through as we were experiencing what a rom-com is about, which is to experience falling in love again. From a rom-com perspective, it absolutely hits all of the genre conventions. It does a great job, but it's this stuff that has our audience deep connected on a much, much deeper level. So it gives you so many opportunities there. Now, for your next script, ask yourself, what level of quality do you want? Right? It's like, you're the writer. You get to make decisions on that. How well do you want it to do in contest? What do you want producers and agents to do when they read your script? Because again, building this kind of stuff in and other things can make a huge difference when you finally get to these kind of people, or even if you're entering contest. This script in its time absolutely would have won a lot of the big contests out there. And this is your chance to be able to do something major. What does it take to get in? And this is, a lot of times people are wondering, and by the way, the industry is about to open back up. So there really is the chance again for people to be able to break in. Managers are looking for writers who create at a professional level. And that means, like what we've already talked about, producers want scripts that can get funding, that can attract top actors and get distribution. The one I just showed you absolutely attracted top actors, which is why it got funding and distribution. So it was an incredible journey. It was fun. It was interesting. It was written really, really well. But all the depth that we just built into it makes a huge difference. So my question to you is, what skills do you need to improve to get there? What do you need to do in order to have managers see you as a professional writer and have producers see your projects as something that can get funding, attract top actors, and get distribution? And most people think they just need to write another script. I would say in general, the real thing is having looked at almost, a lot of contest scripts, and I've run 3 different contests myself. Having done all of that, what I would say is 95% of the scripts that are submitted have limited skill bases. There are things that are missing that could have made those scripts great. And the question is, what do you need? What do you need to get there? What do you need to have anybody who reads your script go, oh my God, this writer is absolutely incredible. Now, let me just walk you through. I'm going to show you a list of I'm going to show you the sequence that we're creating in now, and a list of the skills that we're using that can have you show up as an absolute pro. And those are all built into this class that is coming up called Writing Incredible Movies. This is a program that we created about 3 years ago. And over the last month and a half, we've gone through and elevated it at a much, much higher level. It was amazing when we created it. We had a development team that spent 2 years working on it to create it. We then stood back and looked at how is the audience or how has the industry changed? What is next? And went through and did a complete rewrite. So let me just walk you through what we're doing in it so you can see the skills you need and you can see what's possible. As I do this, I just want you to ask yourself one question. What would happen if every skill I present here, you could double the quality of? So for instance, we start with, what's your pitch? Most people wouldn't start with that. They get an idea and they just start writing. The reason we're starting with what's your pitch is because you want to sell the script. So in the very beginning, you're going to actually create a pitch for your project that then as you write, you're going to live into that pitch. Now, first, let me ask you, if you already are good at creating pitches, what if you doubled the quality of that? That would easily double the chance of your script selling. If you are not good at creating pitches, this will give you a chance to master it. Module 2, then it's about pitch to outline. And here what we're doing is making sure the story works. And once again, ask yourself this question. What if you were twice as good at making sure your story worked? What would that do for you as a writer? Module 3, then it's about characters that attract actors. This entire module is designed out of 23 interviews I did with actors production companies. And I was talking to them about how they select projects for their actors. Sandra Bullock's company, by the way, was one of them. I was talking about how they select projects, what's important to them, what causes them to say yes to a script, what needs to be in that character introduction, right? All the things that would cause an actor to say yes. So you'll get that model here when you create your characters. And up until this point, you'll have a version of your characters, but at this point, you're going to go in depth and you're going to focus on what will attract actors. What if you were twice or 3 times or 5 times as good at that? What kind of a difference would it make for your writing? Module 4, then it's about making the outline incredible, because if you have an incredible outline, it then translates into an incredible script. And I'll tell you, almost everybody I know who comes into this class that thinks they know how to create an outline, when they get to this point, they have huge breakthroughs. And the reason why is because we went and took a look and looked at exactly what needs to go into an outline to make sure that your script ends up being incredible. Not all the details, not dialogue, not the things that most people are completely focused on. Instead, it's everything we talked about today times 5. So it's what's under the surface, what's the depth, what's intriguing, what's engaging. We build every bit of that into the outline in advance so that by the time you get to the point of writing the script, you've already figured out all that. You already have something under the surface that is so amazing. Then in module 5, you do your first draft, which is high speed. This industry values high speed writing, but it also will help you meet deadlines. So you're going to go through this very, very quickly. You'll create a first draft that matches what makes your outline incredible, that means probably your first draft here is going to be better than most of your third or fourth drafts. And then from there, we'll go into the second draft where you solve all the problems in advance. Now, let me tell you where this came from. I was talking with a script consultant who said, you know, I get about 60% of the scripts I get have major problems under the surface that could have been solved at the very beginning. But they've done 10 drafts and the problems still exist. So we stood back and went, wait a minute, what if we solved the problems at the beginning? What if by the end of your second draft, you had a problem-free script? Now, that's actually a pretty amazing thing. But what we're going to do here is you're going to create a problem-free script. We will give you, here's a list of all the main problems that people have under the surface and a solution to each one. So if you go through and you look and you say, wow, I don't have any intrigue, I don't have subtext, it's like, okay, great. You look over to the solution and you just take those steps. So you won't be confused. You'll know exactly what you're doing. You'll end up with a problem-free draft on your second draft. That means you don't have to worry about a consultant later on saying your script has this major problem, it needs a complete rewrite. Then in module 7, you'll go to your third draft. This now is about elevating the quality of these key components, elevating the quality of your structure and how it plays out in your script. And this usually means you find where's the weak point in your structure and you double or triple the quality of it so that now those scenes, when you rewrite them, they turn out to be amazing. And now your script is significantly better. You look at your characters, there are specific scenes that if you just improve those scenes, it changes everything. And then you'll look at how you've written the scenes and you'll find 20 different ways to improve almost any scene in your script. Imagine for a moment that you did that. What kind of a difference would that make? In module 8, now we go to amazing dialogue. This is our fourth draft. Everything else is working, right? We've got a script that works. It's based on this incredible outline. You've built quality into all of these parts. Now we're looking at dialogue. And this now becomes, how do you make this dialogue absolutely amazing? We've got a whole bunch of different ways. We're going to give you a complete chart on how to make any line of dialogue amazing. You will go through and select the lines that need to be improved, and you will elevate them. From that point, then we go to wordsmithing to perfection. Now, I want you to notice something. We didn't start wordsmithing until all of this other stuff was working. Right? And there's a reason for that, because anytime, like let's say you're up here and you have a certain problem, if you've wordsmithed your script, first, it's going to be hard to improve it. But second, as soon as you find that you have this major problem, it's going to disrupt a bunch of things. Once you've solved all of these, once you've elevated the quality, once you have amazing dialogue, now it's time to focus on this and make sure that your wordsmithing all the way through is amazing. And then finally, we'll take you into the advanced marketing campaigns that are designed to help you get your scripts read. And we'll show you how to build a network of producers, agents, and managers to read your scripts. This is something that, as soon as you understand how to build this network, it becomes something that you do on a regular basis. And over time, you will end up with an amazing network that really does give you a chance in this industry. So all of this is the program. It's a 6-month-long program. By the time you're done, you will have learned professional strategies all the way across. There's about 100 different skills that are built into this. It's 6 months. There's 100 lessons. Each one is teaching you another level. In almost any of these lessons, you will learn something new. What you just saw us talk about today in today's video was 3 of the 100 lessons. There are 9. First, on those three, we're going to give you so much more information and understanding, and you'll apply it immediately. But there are 97 other lessons in there that can easily improve the quality of your writing. So what would happen if every step of the way you were able to do that? Now, there's one more thing. I'm going to give you the special price in just a moment, but I want to tell you this one other thing. We just went through and added AI to this, and we're doing it in a very special way. AI doesn't write your script. You will still write your script, but AI is going to help you brainstorm in here 30 different ways. So if you're stuck on something, if you're having a problem, if your lead characters don't seem as interesting, you can take those characters using our prompts and ask AI in a very specific way, and it will help you brainstorm ways to make that character better. And this, by the way, isn't AI writing it, it's AI brainstorming with you. The people who just went through this have told us that it completely re-inspired them. It caused them to write at such a much higher level. And using AI gave them a chance to brainstorm things that were outside the box that they had never considered. Plus, it prepared them for where this industry is eventually going. So they're ahead of the times. The normal price on this is $12.99. Let me give you a special here. The date, by the way, it starts on July 1st. That gives you about 2 or 3 weeks to brainstorm concepts that you can bring in. As soon as you sign up, we will send you a pre-lesson that is specifically on how to brainstorm concepts for this. It'll give you a simple process. You'll go through that, and it will cause you to be able to create so many more possible ideas. You then pick the best one and come into this program. And by the way, you can write any script you want in this program. I just recommend that you go through the concept process first and you brainstorm how to create something that gives you a real chance. The normal price on this program, again, is $12.99. That didn't actually include the AI stuff that I would say doubles the quality of this program. Special price, and this is for the first 10 people that sign up. You know how our systems work. First 10 will get this price, then it'll bump up $150. Then the next 10, that price, it'll bump up again. For the first 10, you can get in for $749. That gives you this 6-month program with everything that's built into it for $550 savings. So $749 is a special price. If you need a payment plan, you can go to our payment plan. This is the link down here for the payment plan. That gets you in at $135 a month for 6 months, which, by the way, is about the cost of the lowest price thing at Starbucks. So for the price of the lowest price thing at Starbucks, you can get into this program and double or triple the quality of your writing from now on. This model you will use on every script you write from this point on. So, if you're going to write 7 scripts in the future, right now, you're basically paying $100 per script to be able to have incredible writing. Here's all you do to join us and get the specials. Just write this link down, bit.ly/SU-WIM. That SU stands for Screenwriting U, WIM, Writing Incredible Movies. No caps, no spaces, just a dash in between. Just write it down, bit.ly/SU-WIM. If you want the payment plan, it's bit.ly/WIM-payments. Write that down, put it in your browser where you normally put a web address at the top, click return, and that'll bring you to the sign up form. Sign up. As soon as you join us, within an hour, you will get the first pre-lesson on how to create professional level concepts. Keep this in mind. Concept is part of the pitch. It's part of what sells your script. So having a great concept is going to double the chance of your success right off the bat. So just come join us for this. This is going to be an incredible journey. You are going to absolutely love it. Give yourself the opportunity to become an amazing writer. I have people all the time who are like, I can't break in. I don't know why I can't break in. And all I have to do is look at the first page of their script and we can see why. They're good, but not great. What would happen if you mastered the skills that could have you being a great writer? What kind of a difference would that make for your entire journey? Think about the level of respect that you'll get from people. We have writers right this moment who are working with producers, and the producers have said things like this. This movie would never get made if it wasn't for this writer. They've also told me things like, your writers are amazing. I had one producer I interviewed who sat down next to me and he told me, he said, I have worked with 4 of your writers now. This was a producer who makes $15 million to $30 million movies. He said, I have worked with 4 of your writers now already, and I love them. And I said, tell me why. He said, because they can do anything I ask them on this. They're able to accomplish things that other writers aren't. Give yourself the chance to do that. So listen, I hope you say yes to this and jump in. I promise you it will change your life as a writer. And if that's what you want, go through this program and experience it for yourself. We have a money-back guarantee. If in the first 5 days of the class, the program, you don't like it for any reason, just email us and we'll give you your money back. We take really good care of writers. So come go on the journey with us. You'll love this. Thank you for being with me today. I hope this has already made a difference. I hope you saw things today that could improve your writing already. And as always, this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, wishing you the absolute best in your writing. Bye-bye, everyone.